Welcome to StarryCast with Vera and Theo. Forget the usual sun sign snippets. Today we're going right to the heart of the Leo archetype.
Exactly.
Our mission is to unearth the fundamental energies that define this sign.
Precisely. We're aiming for a deep, comprehensive understanding of Leo's core drivers.
Okay, so let's start right there. At its essence, what truly defines Leo? What are the non-negotiable aspects of this archetype?
Well, the very core of Leo radiates a potent sense of self,
Mm-hmm.
a fundamental need for outward expression.
Okay.
And this manifests in a few key ways. There's a natural impulsiveness, maybe not reckless, but definitely a direct response to inner urges.
Right.
We see a strong inclination towards leadership,
Yeah.
a kind of innate desire to guide and, well, inspire.
Mm-hmm.
There's also this vibrant, almost childlike enthusiasm that fuels their passions. It's really powerful. Coupled with a powerful ability to mobilize energy towards their goals. And benevolence is key. A real generosity of spirit, of resources, all wrapped up in an undeniably exuberant approach to life.
So this isn't just about wanting to be seen, it's deeper. It's about a fundamental drive to express a very full and vibrant inner world outwardly.
Exactly. Think of it like a wellspring of warmth and magnanimity.
Okay.
Now, this powerful fire, it can, without conscious direction, become overwhelming.
Right.
We might see tendencies towards being, let's say, overly dramatic or reacting quite intensely when their sense of self feels challenged. It's a powerful energy. It demands skillful channeling.
That makes a lot of sense. A fire that burns that brightly also has the potential to scorch if it's not managed.
Precisely.
Now, you mentioned fire. Leo is a fire sign. How does that element shape how Leo experiences and interacts with the world?
As a fire sign, Leo's primary way of understanding is through, well, subjective experience and personal insight.
Okay, so less subjective.
Less concerned with consensus reality, perhaps. They tend to think in vivid mental pictures. Their perception of reality is deeply colored by their individual perspective. Consensus reality, sure, they acknowledge it, but it's often secondary to their own internal vision.
Interesting.
Fire signs possess a strong intuitive sense. It's often more direct, maybe less filtered than air signs, which lean more towards intellectual processing.
Mm-hmm.
This intuitive knowing, while it's very powerful, isn't always easily articulated in, say, linear, logical terms. It just operates on a different frequency.
So it's a knowing that comes more from a feeling, maybe,
Yeah.
or an inner image rather than a step-by-step rational process.
Exactly that. It's a more immediate, kind of visceral understanding.
Got it. Now, let's layer in Leo's modality, fixed. How does this quality shape that fiery Leo energy?
The fixed modality. It acts as an anchor, really, for Leo's fiery nature.
Mm.
It provides stability and, crucially, sustained power.
Okay, stability.
Fixed signs are characterized by their intense focus, a remarkable single-mindedness,
Yeah.
and the ability to maintain and direct their energy with unwavering determination. They are the sustainers. They build and they solidify.
So they stick with things.
Absolutely. Think of it like a furnace that burns steadily and intensely, not just a quick flash fire.
Right.
Once a Leo has focused their energy on a particular goal or passion, that fixed quality provides the tenacity, the perseverance to see it through.
Okay.
They're not easily distracted or swayed from their chosen course.
Mhm.
And this inherent stability, it really amplifies their leadership capabilities.
Mm.
It allows them to provide consistent guidance and inspiration.
And of course, the ruler, Leo, is ruled by the sun, the celestial body, right at the center of our solar system.
Yeah.
How does this planetary ruler influence the Leo archetype?
The sun, yeah. As the vital center, it represents our core identity, our life force, our fundamental need for self-expression.
The core self.
It's the I am, in astrological terms, the essence of who we are striving to become. As the ruler of Leo, the sun basically imbues the sign with its own radiant qualities.
Such as?
A natural sense of authority, a need to shine and be recognized, and an inherent connection to vitality and self-assurance.
So that inherent self-confidence we often associate with Leo, and that desire for recognition, it's not superficial then. It's deeply rooted in this solar connection to the core self.
Exactly. The sun naturally commands attention. It radiates energy outward.
Mm.
Leo, as its kind of earthly representative, embodies this same inherent need to express their inner light and, yes, be acknowledged for their unique contributions.
Okay, that gives us a really solid foundation. The fire, the fixed quality, the sun. Let's explore some of the key strengths that emerge from this combination. Leadership and ambition are always mentioned prominently with Leo.
Indeed. And it's usually a genuine and often quite compelling desire to take the lead.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't typically about mere control. It seems to stem from a deep-seated confidence in their own vision and abilities.
Okay.
And this natural inclination often translates into a real talent for business and practical endeavors, places where they can initiate projects and guide them to fruition.
And this leadership, it seems, often intertwined with a love of recognition, maybe a desire to have influence.
Precisely. There's often I'd say, healthy desire for their efforts to be acknowledged and appreciated.
Right.
Leo generally wants to make a meaningful impact and be recognized for their contributions. This can manifest as a drive to influence their environment, the people around them, maybe to take a governing role in areas where they feel capable and passionate.
Another key strength you hear about is passionate enthusiasm. It sounds like Leo throws their whole heart into what they care about.
Oh, absolutely. Leo approaches life and their passions with this, well, unbridled enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's a vibrant, almost all-consuming energy.
You feel it.
Definitely. It fuels their creativity, their leadership, their ability to inspire others. When a Leo is genuinely engaged, their energy is not only palpable, but often quite contagious.
I can imagine that kind of wholehearted engagement must be incredibly motivating for people around them. We also see benevolence and exuberance listed as significant strengths.
Yes, there tends to be a natural generosity and joyfulness inherent in the Leo archetype. They are often quite benevolent, wanting to share their successes and uplift those in their sphere,
That warmth again.
And their exuberance is infectious. They bring a certain warmth and vibrancy to situations, which makes them generally enjoyable to be around.
Courage and decisiveness are also highlighted as notable Leo strengths.
Leo typically possesses remarkable courage, yes, and a decisive nature. They're generally unafraid to take bold steps and make firm decisions when needed.
So they act.
They do. This inherent bravery allows them to confidently step into leadership roles and confront challenges pretty directly.
It's interesting, though, that while courage is listed as a strength, there's a subtle note in some descriptions about the potential need for prudence sometimes.
Ah, yes, that's a crucial nuance. While Leo's courage is undoubtedly a powerful asset, that inherent impulsivity we mentioned earlier, it can sometimes lead to actions without sufficient forethought. So the reminder about prudence just serves as a gentle caution, really. Even their greatest strengths benefit from wisdom and careful consideration.
Makes sense. Balance is key. Finally, under strengths, affability and courtesy are mentioned. Sometimes you think of strong leaders as maybe being less concerned with that.
It's a common misconception, perhaps. But despite their strong will and leadership tendencies, Leos often possess a naturally agreeable and polite manner.
Okay.
They generally know how to conduct themselves with grace and respect, which often contributes to them being well-liked and respected in their interactions.
So putting it all together, we have this picture of a natural leader driven by passion, courage, generosity, someone who's also generally well-regarded.
That's a good summary of the positive expression.
But of course, every archetype has its less harmonious expressions, its challenges. Let's delve into those common challenges associated with Leo, starting with that impulsivity again.
Indeed. That very impulse that fuels their enthusiasm and courage can, if unchecked, lead to difficulties. Acting without fully considering the consequences can sometimes result in unforeseen sorrows or regrets. It's the flip side of that quick decisiveness.
Right. And the strong desire for fame and recognition, while it's a motivator, it also presents potential downsides, doesn't it?
Absolutely. While the desire to be acknowledged can drive them to achieve great things, if it becomes an insatiable need, it can definitely lead to ego-driven behavior.
How so?
Well, the focus can shift from genuine contribution, from the joy of creating or leading, towards just the pursuit of external validation. And that can potentially lead to disappointment if that recognition isn't consistently received or isn't on their terms.
I see. We also see the potential for being argumentative and skeptical, listed as less harmonious expressions of Leo energy.
This can arise when Leo's strong convictions tied to that fixed nature become overly rigid.
Okay, digging their heels in.
Exactly. They can become entrenched in their own viewpoints, leading to arguments and a resistance to considering alternative perspectives, which naturally can sometimes hinder collaboration and mutual understanding.
Self-centeredness and ego are perhaps the challenges most frequently brought up in connection with Leo.
Yes, and it's a fine line. That strong sense of self, which is the foundation of their confidence, can sometimes cross over into self-centeredness.
Right.
There's a potential for prioritizing their own needs and perspectives above others, perhaps without realizing it,
Right.
and for expressing themselves in ways that come across as boastful or attention-seeking.
And how they handle confrontation around that.
Well, when confronted, This ego can either be reinforced, they might double down, or if the Leo is willing to self-reflect, it could potentially be softened, leading to growth.
And that strong will, that fixedness, can also create friction in relationships, maybe leading to difficulties with compromise.
Precisely. Leo's inherent desire to often get their own way, rooted in their strong beliefs and vision, can pose challenges in partnerships, both personal and professional.
Because they're so sure they're right.
Often, yes. A willingness to genuinely see things from another's perspective and find mutually agreeable solutions might not always come naturally. It requires conscious effort.
The potential for dramatic reactions is another challenge sometimes noted.
Yes, when their personal values, their sense of pride, or their ego feels challenged, Leos can sometimes react with a level of drama that might seem disproportionate to the actual situation.
Like an overreaction?
It could look like that. It might involve overstating things or holding on to a very subjective perspective quite fiercely in defense of their viewpoint or their feeling of being slighted.
There's also the term conceit mentioned, which is interesting because it's sometimes noted alongside pregnant genius. What does that suggest?
It really highlights that delicate balance within the Leo archetype. There are genuine talents and abilities that pregnant genius can easily lead to a well-placed confidence. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
However, without a grounding sense of humility, or perhaps perspective, this awareness can unfortunately morph into conceit, a kind of fixed sense of superiority that can sadly distance them from others.
So the genius is there, but the attitude around it can be the issue.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Finally, we have the possibility, maybe less common, of emotional coldness or indifference, particularly if there are other strong astrological influences at play, like maybe Saturn.
How does that work with Leo's usual warmth?
It's a more nuanced challenge. While the core of Leo is inherently warm and expressive, certain planetary influences can sometimes temper that outward display.
Okay.
This might manifest as a perceived emotional reserve or a kind of indifference, which can make it harder for others to connect with them on a deeper emotional level, even if that inherent inner warmth is still there underneath. It's like the outward expression gets a bit blocked or cooled down.
Wow. So it really is a truly multifaceted archetype, isn't it? Brimming with both these radiant strengths and some significant potential pitfalls. Understanding these nuances provides a much richer and more accurate picture of Leo than the simplistic generalizations we often encounter.
Absolutely. It's about seeing the whole picture by exploring these fundamental components. The element, the modality, the ruler, the strengths, the challenges we gain, I think, a much more profound appreciation for the dynamic and complex energy that defines the Leo archetype.
It moves way beyond just likes attention.
Far beyond. It's about the expression of the vital self.
As you consider the vibrant and intricate nature of Leo we've discussed, reflect on how these energies might manifest, perhaps subtly or strongly, in your own life and in the lives of those around you. Understanding these core elements really offers a deeper insight into the dynamic interplay of the zodiac.
Well said.
Join us next time on StarryCast for another celestial exploration.